This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts, Alex and Rayven Greer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Smoking Out the Closet. My name's Rayven.
I'm Alex.
And we are your queer stoner hosts for this podcast. First thing I want to do is thank your amazing Uncle Steve.
He's the voice you heard in the intro. He did an amazing job.
A lovely job. Yeah, he's really cool. We should put his, links and everything.
So you can check out, his other stuff he's done. He did a book on Audible. Steve, I'm plugging your book on Audible. If you go over there, they're not sponsored, by the way, but if you go over there, they can give you a month for free. They give you a free book to try it out. That's what I use my one book on, is to listen to his reading of The Wizard of Oz. He's an amazing voice. He's been in radio for as long as I've been alive, so, yeah.
So we should start with who we are. Excuse me, I keep burping from my soda. Do you want me to go first, or do you want you to go first?
You go first.
Okay. So my name is Rayven Greer. I am probably should look closer towards the mic. I am a 27-year-old, I don't know why I'm giving my age. I am
a woman never tells her age, don't you know that?
I haven't been one for long, because I am a trans woman. I'm a pansexual trans woman, and I am, as I said, new to being a woman and new to weed.
I guess it's my turn then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Alex Greer. We're a married couple. We're married. You have the same last name. And my pronouns are they, them. I am a queer, non-binary person. I'm new to being non-binary, newish, like a year or so. And Rayven calls me like a vet with weed, because I kind of used it a little bit more than she has earlier on. Not a whole lot. But, kind of segues into our next part of this podcast.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about how we got into weed. So I tried it a few times, once in high school, a couple of times in college. But it wasn't until when I got my medical marijuana card that I started avidly using it. Super slow at first, only vape here and there within my first year. But my second year I started smoking with joints. Can't do blunts. Tobacco has started making me sick after a certain point in my life. And it's like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I got my first bong and took my first bong rip. Was it that day or the day after?
It was the day after. The day after
Okay.
we got it. You also been making some edibles here and there with your ventures with canna butter.
Oh yeah, my first edible that I've made, and I made canna butter with margarine, because I forgot our sticks of margarine weren't actually butter. I did the whole decarbonation and put it in. It was following a butter recipe, so I ended up making really concentrated canna margarine.
And folks, she lathered two sides of 2 pieces of bread and made herself a very stony grilled cheese.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad, but I felt amazing, and I actually think it's the same strand I'm smoking on now.
Very nice segue. We can segue into what we're smoking today. Rayven, what are you puffing on over there? What do we have before here?
I'm smoking on GTI Rhythms orange rolls, which has really helped. It's really helped me with my PTSD and my depression. And puff on it long enough. I mean, not even that long. 2 puffs can help me through a day, but 4 puffs got me like this. how'd you get into it? I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were waiting for me to ask.
Okay. I was just waiting for you to finish up with your strand. So, how I got into it, I was probably 11 years ago now at this point. I had my first, I smoked for the very first time. It was an interesting story there. Maybe we can get into later. But, yeah, I started smoking kind of regularly as a freshman in college, because stress will do that to you and you're not at home and nobody's there to yell at you. There's another interesting story there, unless you get caught by campus police. Anyway, just be smart. What's I talking about? Okay, but yeah, so,
how'd you got into
smoking
weed?
freshman year of
How'd you
college,
start?
and then about a year and a half ago, I actually got my medical marijuana card in the state of Pennsylvania. So I kind of started off vaping here and there, just kind of, take the edge off at the end of the day and everything. It's not until a year into actually having my card, I bought any flower from the dispensary, and that's what I'm smoking on today. I can't remember. I think it's called Terrapin is the brand, and it's their Lemon G strand. It's a really nice, kind of herby, minty, taste to it, and it gives a really nice calming, just kind of, even keel high. This part might be part of my daily driver set of my one for sleep and my one for getting house chores done. This might just be my kind of cool off, if I have a day off to relax.
Now, we don't have a whole lot of segment views, or not views. I hate it. This is the one part I hate, is I can't remember my words. We haven't set up any segment ideas. We're just kind of free flowing. I just jotted down some ideas I wanted to talk about for this first episode. But I'm wondering, do you want to do a review, product review stuff?
That'd be kind of cool. Disclaimer, first of all, until we say otherwise, we're not sponsored by any of these people. They are not getting us any money. They're not, they don't hear this before you guys do, that sort of thing, because we don't have any affiliation with them. It's just what we've tried and what works for us, and how it works for us.
Yeah, I mean, no sponsors, just everything's basically, this is our own project. We funded everything between the computer and the microphone and the programs and all that.
Not cutting off to any sponsors if they are going to be listening to this and they go back to our first episode. Yeah. Opening for sponsors, cool if we get big and everybody's like, hey, or we could talk about our local dispensary. We could talk to them sometime.
True.
And about their products. We'll plug them because we like them. We've had good experiences with our local folks down at the dispensary.
And not to mention 3 of my friends work there.
Yeah.
So when did you, the next little thing here is, when did you figure out, the LGBT stuff, the queer stuff, the alphabet mafia? When were you initiated?
It's kind of weird because my weed story, and now that I think about it, my weed story and my LGBTQ story kind of go hand in hand. I started kind of questioning stuff the summer between 6th and 7th grade, and then I came out to my best friend, who I don't know if she's listening to this, but hi. My best friend, I came out to her, and she was just kind of like, yeah, I know. And I came out as bi at the time. It's thanks for telling me kind of sort of thing. Before I did. But yeah, it's back when I thought I was cis and just kind of tomboyish and came out as bi because I knew I like girls. Girls are hot. Girls are awesome. But my first weed incident collides with that because I smoked with my very first girlfriend in high school. My first weed experience, and she was my first girlfriend in LGBT experience and stuff. So kind of goes hand in hand. And then over the time, stuff evolved. So, but that's where it all started.
So, the signs we don't see when we're younger were a blatant clue to my gender identity stuff. But my first thing I realized was kind of my sexuality as well. So I would look at certain things probably I wasn't shouldn't be, and I knew I liked girls, but there was always these this is real embarrassing to say, but the old Calvin Klein underwear commercials or Hanes and stuff, and I would always just laser focus on the men's physique, and I'll leave it at that. but it didn't really hit me till I was about in 10th grade. It's kind of when I realized it and told my friends, and my friends were like, yeah, duh. Like,
isn't it great how your friends know before you do, and they don't even cue you in on this sort of thing?
Yeah, and I mean, they didn't know what specifics. They were just like, yeah, you were kind of throwing off our gaydar, and I'm like, oh, thanks, mine must be broken. So yeah. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, let's just build. Let's build a picture for our audience here, okay? So we're starting off with those, like, corner pieces, so you can kind of see where the puzzle begins. We want to evolve into, like, our gender experience and stuff like that, and how that experience was for us, because I feel like the next milestone in my journey at that point.
Yeah, we can do that.
I want to say I started mine about six years ago. Was the first fleeting thought of maybe I'm not girl, period. Maybe I'm girl, comma, and something else, or not something. Just a passing thought. I didn't have any really vocabulary for it. I didn't know. At that point in my life, I'd never seen a trans person. I didn't know they existed. I didn't have any concept of the idea, because I was raised in a really, really, really small town. I'm talking, like, graduating class, 75 people. We were the biggest class come through there in 5 years. True story. Exactly, that. Small. Very, very small. And to whoever else went to that high school who might be listening, I'm not sorry I said what I said. But my first experience was, like, 6 years ago. Right before I went off to college, I moved to a slightly larger high school. I'm talking 125 graduating class. Middle size. That was their middle size for classes.
That was middle size?
That was their middle size class. It was 125 students.
Oof.
I think only 119 of them graduated out of my class of 125. Take as much time as you need.
This man.
Yep. Sorry about that. Yes. Interesting stories. Interesting people. But my boyfriend at the time, I'm not going to name any names, he knows who he is, doubt I'll ever find this, was like, I'm not going to date you if you're anything but girl, period. There's no girl, comma, there's no girl, and or not something. Because I tried to talk to him about it. He was the closest person I had, and I later found out he was an asshole, because he made me cut off all my other friends I would talk to.
I hate people like that so much.
But so he was the only one I had to confide in, and he was kind of like backwoods country, like, not, you're stereotyped. You know who I'm thinking of. You can picture them. I'm not going to say it. But that's when,
douche.
Yeah, it's putting it nicely. That's when that whole gender stuff kind of started, and he was like, no. Shut that down real fast. And then I locked it up and didn't think about it until years later, at least like 5 years later, when I started dating Rayven, actually.
And then you came to me and you're like, hey, excuse me, you're like, hey, I don't think, you basically gave me the same question as you gave your ex, and I was like, okay, well, let's break that down. How do you feel? Like, do you want to try experimenting with, like, certain pronouns, certain genders? Do you want me to call you by a different name?
She actually helped me pick my new name. And she doesn't remember really well. It was kind of concussion brainy, so she was recovering from an accident. And, again, can't talk about that. Not legally allowed to. But trust me, it's not as interesting as it sounds. And she helped me pick out my new name. And I remember, we were sitting in bed and I was like, I don't like my name. I don't. What can I use that's like androgynous sounding? Because then I was still trying to figure it out. I just knew I didn't like that name anymore. So she was like, okay, and started going alphabetical and androgynous sounding names. And I was like, whoop. I'm going to stop you right there. Alex, I like it.
Right on the first one.
It wasn't even, no, it was like 5 or 6 in. I can't remember any of the other ones.
Then I must have looked that up, because
you did get a list. You got a list out. You had a list on your phone.
Okay, so I did Google something. Google.
And now there's like so many Alexes that come into my workplace, it's unreal. I work with I work with one of them. Our company's a parent company, and they have the sibling company that my wife works at. Not sure if we should name names there either. But her boss's name is Alex as well. So it's apparently a popular name. But yeah, so.
As for me, with my gender stuff, it wasn't until my second summer at Penn State, so my summer between my sophomore and junior year. Right? No. Technically the summer between my sophomore and sophomore year. Because I started my freshman year in the summer. Anyway, I started questioning it because I was alone. I didn't have a roommate during that summer. I just left a really bad relationship, and which was great. The breakup was really, really bad. But so I had some time to myself, and I messaged my mom, and I'm like, hey, I don't think I'm a guy. I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm questioning my gender really hard right now. And my mom was like, okay, just kind of keep us updated, because she was still at the time, like, wasn't even like a year after I came out to my parents as bi, which I did in a really, really bad way.
Listen, I never even came out to mine. I was that kid, because, I was scared for my life.
True, fair enough.
My parents, I can't remember how they found out in some roundabout way. Probably for snooping around. But they sat me down and gave me the "you're gonna hell" speech and XYZ reasons why, and this is a phase, and you're gonna grow out of it. Well, guess what, Mom and Dad? I'm married to a woman now, so it wasn't a phase. Doubt they're ever going to listen to this, but it makes me feel better just to say it. It wasn't a phase. I married a woman. Joke's on you. I win. But...
your uncle's going to listen to this, though.
He knows how they were like. He was there for a
really?
huge chunk of my life. Yeah, he was at Sandy's when I'd go to her house to be like, Sandy, Mom and Dad are eating bird food again. Like, I need some real food. Like, they're on this health kick and I can't take it. And, like, Steve was there and he made, we'd make dinner and sit down and watch Jeopardy and, cuddle with dog. But I can't remember where that story was going.
Who knows?
It was something profound, and now it's gone. Add it to the book. We have a book, folks.
At this point, it's a library.
It's a library, Library of Congress size. There's so much stuff.
We add to these imaginary books of things we forget.
Whatever you were going to say next, apparently.
Yeah, that's going in the book.
But I can't remember. It was something on Facebook or Tumblr or something I saw back when I still used Tumblr. That was like, hey, what if there's this book, right, that we get, not to get morbid, but at the end of reincarnation of this life, of this experience, you get this and you're like, this is all the shit. You remember that those times you were like, shit, I can't remember what I was going to say. It's in here. It's in here, page 43, that time on December 4th.
That's where you got it from.
Yeah, it was a post of something I saw, and I was like, I like that idea, so I'm going to do that. You just add it to the book, and someday you're going to get that book, and you're going to see all the stuff you forgot. And it's going to be just random stuff that makes no sense, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, because it's non sequitur. It's not a continuous thought or series of thought. It's just blurp, blurp.
What if...
It's like one of those bad dad joke books.
But what if you look at it and there's a pattern? There's a pattern of things that you forgot.
Well, yeah, obviously there's going to be, a huge section of just stoned and being like...
I was trying to be deep with this. Rayven. I was trying to be deep with this. That there's some, not deep as in emotional, but deep as in, deep think. Okay? That there's some things that your brain doesn't let you remember that you're going to say. For some reason or another, your brain's just like, this thing, we can't say this. We don't know how to say this. We forgot what this was. Be freaky.
Oh yeah, it's like your brain's a computer and your computer hiccups. It has a glitch.
Or you have a gaming system and you're like, I don't play this game much anymore. It's kind of small. And you just delete it and it's gone because you make room for other things.
Yeah. That'd be a cool way to look at it. I'm a video game console.
Exactly.
Sweet.
Falling in reverse at best. Life is like a video game. I feel like if you treat life to like a video game to an extent, not like the irresponsible extent of like, I'm gonna respawn, I'm fine if I die kind of stupid crap. But like to the point of, like when I'm making pizza. I'm playing Good Pizza, Great Pizza. That's a game I play on my phone that I really like. I'm that person. I'm getting those achievements like in my brain. Anything to get through the day. Anything that'll help you.
I still think it's really cute when you told me that the first time you were playing Great Pizza, Good Pizza.
Yeah, I'm playing Good Pizza, Great Pizza. Because I even arranged my pepperonis like they taught me how to in the game. Or like Cooking Mama. I play a lot of Cooking Mama.
God. Yeah, you love your Cooking Mama.
I make dough. I'm like, Mama's teaching me how to stretch the dough out. Not a sponsor.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by Nintendo.
Nintendo sent me free stuff.
Nice Rick and Morty quote. Alright, what is your favorite way to use weed?
My favorite way to use weed? I probably still I like vaping a lot. Because I feel like you get the concentration, you get the measurements of what THCA and, the terpenes and everything that's in there. Make your decision based on that first, and then you can kind of dose yourself. So it's like having a graduated cylinder that tells you how much is in there. So you know exactly how much, fluid to push in an IV, or because if you're a nurse, you need to know that. So it's precise, I feel like. And also I can sit on the couch and watch TV and play video games while I do it. And
true. That's a
walk
big
around
advantage.
I use it as motivation to clean the house. So I feel like I can adjust how much I use more specifically when I vape.
No, I get that. And that's a really good way, and that's why I started with vape. Because I didn't know how else to do it, and there wasn't a way I could do it at the time. No, I did say this in our intro episode that I did alone, because you're at work.
Yeah, I work a lot.
Yeah, you do. 2 jobs.
44 hours average a week.
Pay
for that. I'm going to pay for that PS5, though. I just bought the Hoop Buddy.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored either. PlayStation sent me free stuff. I love you.
So, we're not experts in either the LGBT stuff or the cannabis stuff.
Or literally anything else we talk about. The video game industry.
Yeah, we're not experts.
I work in the video game industry. I'm not an expert by any means. I just know a little bit more than your average Joe.
The only thing I'm an expert is an expert dumbass. That's all I am. I'm just an expert moron. I know how to do dumb really well. But this podcast is a lot of our thoughts, personal beliefs, ideas.
Our silly banter that Rayven has said many times. I wish we had a mic. I want to listen to this shit. When we were first talking about doing the podcast, we'd be sitting in the car and talking about some random thing and bantering back and forth and slinging insults.
Oh my gosh, what were we talking about? Because I remember being I want to have a mic.
Yeah.
I want to have a mic.
I want to have this on our podcast. And when we smoke, we get chatty, we get excited and relaxed because we're home and we're comfy. And this stuff happens, and we thought, well, what better to do than smoke and record it?
Yeah.
And then all you lovely, lovely people out there can listen to us be goofy.
So I should share my favorite way to use cannabis.
Absolutely.
I'm so tired right now, because, I love the bong. It's super fast. It hits nicer.
That noise.
I love making the bubbling, just the bubbling noise. And it works really well, and I don't use as much of my flower. But the oral fixation that I satisfy with smoking a joint, because I used to smoke.
And that's a habit that's really hard to break.
Yeah.
I think the last time I had a cigarette, when I was working at Barnes & Noble, and the person who should not be named who works there gave me one. That was the last time. No, it was at an ex's party, wasn't it? Yeah, it was at an ex's party. Which was 2 years ago now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. No time for feels right now. 2 years ago was the last time I had and I call them analogs because I vape. But last time I had an analog was about 2 years ago.
So, I told Mary Jane and Mike.
Hi guys, if you're listening, how are you?
However you want to organize it. from Weed and Grub that I would send them a link to this podcast. And
thanks for the shout out earlier. I listened to you guys' episode with our
yeah.
about our marriage. It was beautiful and amazing.
I forgot I got Bud of the Week on the last episode.
We're gonna be Bud Buddies. Speaking of Bud Buddies, do we want to introduce like our little special thing? Like, that we kind of borrowed it from you guys. We hope you're not too mad.
We wanted to do a little shout out thing in our podcast, and it was. I was trying to figure out how to make something LGBT and cannabis related, and I was looking like I'm wondering if there's any like candies with like strains that are named after candies that are kind of like rainbow. So I was looking. I know they have. I'm drawing a blank on the one that I'm thinking of.
Anyway, Nerds.
Yeah, I think it was Nerds.
Yeah. Runts. No, it was Runts. That's what it was. Wasn't there? There was a Runts flower.
Yeah, that was one of the ones at the dispensary, though.
Yeah.
But it might have been Runs.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I found one called Skittles, and I'm like, Skittles, taste of rainbow, queer, Skittles.
Skittles also supports the queers. They give up their rainbow every Pride Month.
But is that just corporate?
Is it corporate rainbow washing? I'm not sure.
Because, like, I know Target actually donates money to, like, the Trevor Project and works with GLAAD, so, I mean, that's the thing. I haven't actually looked into Skittles with that. But Skittles is also the name of a strain, which I really want to try now. So I was thinking we would do Skittles of the Ep, or Skittles of the Episode, where you and me would pick a listener that interacts with us or something, or someone we want to talk about and shout out. So
I feel like it's kind of obvious who our first one should be, and I'm curious if you think the same.
Your Uncle Steve.
Our Uncle Steve. Hi, Uncle Steve. Skittle of the Ep.
Do we want to do, like, one each, or just, like, pick one?
We just do one each. So, yeah, mine would be Uncle Steve. Uncle Steve, you're my Skittle of the Ep. Love you, I miss you. Can't wait to catch up with you sometime, hopefully soon.
Mine's going to be a double, and it's literally the ones I shouted out earlier. Mary Jane and Mike from Weed and Grub, and then there's TS and Sasha, I think. I'm drawing a blank on her name. I think it's Sasha and I apologize if it's not. I'm sorry, I'm really stoned.
You gotta understand.
The podcasters from the cool Nerd Weed Show, which I just started listening to, and they're really freaking cool.
So shout out to you guys.
So, can't really do a sent to Weed and Grub without asking what your favorite snack to eat while you're high is.
Oh, favorite snack to eat while I'm high. I've been munching on the high juice.
You love
a Taiwanese candy made with actual fruit juice. It tastes like you're eating a gummy version of that fruit. Like you pick it off the tree and it turns into a gummy. That's what it tastes like, and they're amazing. I have some jaw issues though, so if I eat too many of them, I start hurting in my mouth. But if that doesn't hurt, then I get a stomachache and I have to have Rayven take them away from me.
Yeah. My favorite is Jaffa Cakes.
We were gonna go to Wegmans and get more.
Yeah, I have tomorrow off, so I can go get more myself.
Okay, sorry, I just remembered that.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Jaffa Cakes. They're like this orange-filled, like, chocolate biscuit kind of thing. They're so good. You're good. You need a drink.
I'm very thirsty. I need to get a different cup.
Yeah, you need a less noisy cup, because it's just turning to,
Rayven and Alex ASMR, smoking ASMR.
Yeah, smoking out of the closet with some ASMR. So, with this, and like I said in the intro episode, I kind of want this to be about, like, our personal ideas and our personal journeys and conversations and stuff, but also kind of shed light to get us more involved with the cannabis community than just, like, the Facebook group you and me are in.
Yeah.
But also to kind of, like, shed light on the issues for both, not only just the cannabis community as itself, the LGBT community as itself, but the cross-sectionality or intersection of those communities as well.
The intersectionality of the of those two groups.
Yeah, you were an English major.
I was an English major and a sociology major, so I know everything about the etymology of the words and the words that you use to describe these social situations. Stop it. Lesson here. That term was coined. It's actually really cool. That term was coined by an African American woman.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I believe this part was also true. She was in an interracial marriage, so she had a lot of intersectionality between the people who, obviously were racist because, of the relationship at the time.
Oh, the word intersectionality?
Yeah, the word intersectionality.
I think you were talking about etymology.
No, I'm talking about intersectionality. That the word was coined by her because it was the intersection of the study of the intersection of all of those different categories. Because you're gonna have people. She was an African American in I think it was like the 50s or the 60s. So she was gonna face some trouble. She was a woman in the workplace at the time, and still, women's wages are not paid the same as men's wages. She was going to face that issue. She was going to face, if they had children, what was going to happen with them, housing and everything like that. So that word was literally created to describe those middle grounds between different groups of people, which I think is a really beautiful word and a beautiful story behind it. There's your sociology and English fact of the day.
We're not doing that as a section of this. You're just really high and you get super nerdy.
I'm really high. I get really nerdy. I'm going to step back from my podium now. Homework's due next Tuesday. Don't come to my office. I'm not going to be there.
There's no homework. You don't have to do it. They're crazy. I love you.
I'm not crazy. I'm just stoned.
I love you.
I love you too.
So what issues have you seen that you kind of want to bring up in light between the two, like where they meet at that intersectionality?
I really don't feel like you see a lot of people in the queer community smoking, just in general, like smoking weed. Like, it's not talked about it. I still feel like it's really hushed and taboo, especially like with the boomers that grew up in like the reefer madness era. The LGBT people, it kind of got passed to them because I guess it was kind of like some people's stories are similar of like, hey, my parents are really hard on me for XYZ things. I'm going to do XYZ things when I grow up, and I really don't like where this comes from, and some of those mindsets cross. So those gay people in the community were raised by those people who were like, no, weed's bad. So the queer community, these older queer communities, like, no, that's bad. Or they were around for those reefer madness times. I'm like, no, weed's still bad. I don't trust it. Then you have some pretty, we use a dated term, some pretty cool cats that grew up in that era that are like, no, like, peace and love,
Yeah,
war is bad.
The hippies.
Yeah.
They were the hippies.
I know. But, like, they were in that same era of, like, my aunt was a hippie. I know she was, from the stories my mom has told me. My mom was a little bit more of, like, a quieter flower child. Not as bright and neon. But, they're considered boomers still. So it's weird to have that thought of that dichotomy of people with the minority being the ones that are like, no, drugs aren't bad. They're actually pretty good if you use them in moderation and to enjoy some music and everything like that.
Well,
I definitely feel like that's a problem that I've seen between the two, is that I don't feel like queer people are really connected in a positive light with the weed community because they still have that mindset of no, weed's bad.
Except all the ones I went to college with.
Yo, you went to some pretty cooler people than I did. I went to private college for a bit. That's where I did a lot of my weed smoking, actually. Is at a private college.
Where you got in trouble.
That's also where I got in trouble. But that was the cool thing, though, on campus, since it was privately owned property, technically, the people that own the campus can tell us what they want us to do on that property and what's allowed. And it was their private property, so the police don't have to get involved if you don't have to. Mm-hmm. The Moon Township police never showed up. It was just, campus cops.
Yeah, campus security.
And they were just like, gimme, thank you, don't do it again. I will drive you home from the hospital.
Bad.
But no, it's definitely the taboo that's there. That's my big issue right now that I'm seeing. And if we want to talk the flip side, the weed community has always been a very dude bro, like, those guys who culturally appropriate Jamaican stereotypes.
I mean, like the one, we have this one store in State College that I'm not going to name names.
If you live in town and you're Kendra, you know who we're talking about, because Kendra's the one who told me about it. Definitely, if you live here, you know who it is.
He sells a lot of, like, it's a lot of cartoonization of, like, Rastafarian culture and bastardization of what, you know, Jamaica is about. It's that cartoony, you know, and a lot of mainstream media and a storefront, basically. And it's also, like, he sells quote-unquote non-paraphernalia, but it is paraphernalia.
Because Pennsylvania's paraphernalia laws are weird. The thing that separates illegal from legal is this little teeny tiny sign that says for tobacco use only. And that is convenience stores in every corner of Pennsylvania's free ticket. That's their get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Sadie and I actually got a gas station. I'm not going to name the brand, but we were secret shopping them. And they didn't have their sign, and we had to report them, and I'm pretty sure they got shut down.
Oof.
By the state.
Oof. Ouch. Big oof. Ouch damage.
Deep DAQ damage.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, but, like, but also there's the issue of, like, the whole, because it's kind of like the stereotypical college movie frat boy culture that I've seen. No, don't get me wrong, I don't interact with a whole lot of the community as a whole, but what I do see in, like, the groups we're in, but also, like, on videos like the Cannabis Cup and everything, it's very, women aren't super well represented in the community, and now with all the corporations, people of color are starting not to get their representation that they've been there forever with it.
I feel like, and I know it's a TV show, so it really doesn't count, but that 70s show, I think's the closest that, like, they've gotten to representing women in the stoner culture. Simply because...
Well, no, also the show Weeds.
So, show Weeds. I haven't personally watched Weeds.
It, but I think the character the show follows is a woman. Because she's always on, like, the cover with the TV show.
Yeah, okay. But, like, you've got dramatizations of it. You don't have, like, oh, hey, this is what you think of, you know, more like word of mouth, what you think of when you think of, like, a stoner.
Or, like, talking about female-led, or women-led companies that own and operate cannabis industry, like, businesses and industries.
Yeah, and a lot of, like, the paraphernalia and stuff, I feel like it's not catered towards women, and if it is, it's catered towards the stereotypical woman.
Yeah.
I like pink. I want this in pink. I want it to be dainty and cute. And it's like you either have, like, hardcore dude bro, skulls and roses, swords and shit on your water pipe, or you have, hey, this is bright pink and it's flowery and it's so pretty.
Well, but the thing with I was gonna say with the dude bro thing is it's that aspect that is the alienation of gay men and the fetishization of gay women.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like, say, and it's exactly like I've seen the frat boys here on campus, where, when I was in school, was if they had a guy who pledged and didn't come out, but then they came out after he became a brother, a lot of the guys would start being very, very uncomfortable once they knew that person was gay.
Kind of perpetrating that stereotype of if you're gay and you're around me, I'm going to be gay, or I'm afraid of that. It's gross.
And it's a lot of ignorance based in just not knowing, just misunderstanding, and, like, so, I mean, it's not a great thing, and it's not everybody. We know it's not everybody, but it's a decent enough.
It's a decent enough amount, yeah.
That it gets upsetting and concerning for people's safety.
Because as much as any college wants to say, yes, we might have sororities and fraternities, no, there's no hazing that goes on at all whatsoever, it happens. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows it happens, everyone on campus knows it happens. Ask any college student, they will tell you. It happens.
But where was I going? But like the thing is, like, it's that because like with the LGBT side, because I don't even, the only person I know. No, there's two people that I know, and I can't remember the one's name because he's a trans man, and that was a porn star. I think he still is. I don't know. Real famous apparently. I don't know. Not that I don't watch porn, it's just I don't really watch. I don't know. I don't think I've ever watched any trans man porn.
You just don't watch what
the side he's on.
Understandable.
But he's a super big advocate for cannabis, and he thinks it's a medicine like we do.
Yes.
And him and the drag queen Laganja Lestranja.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
Those are the only two queer people I know in the cannabis world.
That's two more than me. And that shows you just how few there are.
Yeah. At least that are open and I'm proud, or, they get talked about it.
Yeah.
Cause like,
or they're out and loud about their, their use of cannabis and their support of cannabis.
But yeah, that's the issues I've seen so far with my limited range of knowledge and, just actual physical community. Like, stuff I've seen has just been all online, or in the groups we're in, of how people interact with each other.
Yeah. And I think that goes on, like, a broader scale. Because even though progressively we're moving forward of, THC has been shown to reduce pain and, like, calm anxiety, and CBD has been known for, like, easing nerves and helping you sleep, and also, like, just kind of taking the edge off of, everything. And it's made great medicine, and reviews and articles and professional recommendations are coming out. But as a whole, in some nooks and crannies in the United States of America, and definitely all over the world, there are still people who are like, this is bad. This is bad, and XYZ reasons why it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I feel like the LGBT people and the weed people meet. They're used to people saying, this is bad for XYZ reason. We are still illegal in, 64 countries of the world?
Something like that.
64 countries in the world is illegal to be gay. It is punishable by jail sentence or some places death still. So just think of how those same people might think about weed. I
don't think they're that.
That is a dramatization. But think though, if there's that many people that many places it's still illegal to be gay, and the gay people and like the weed people, like I said, they're under the same umbrella of that's bad. You have to think about how many people still think weed's bad, because it takes time for stuff like that to heal over and to process with, I'm going to say something slightly controversial. The imaginary war on drugs the United States created, and the reefer madness that they instilled, and the police were going after African American men because apparently weed made them crazy and unable to control themselves. It was this whole big police propaganda that they pushed.
I actually think that was actually a Klan.
That was a Klan thing?
I think that might have been a Klan thing.
I was getting those mixed up with the Reefer Madness thing.
Well, no, the Reefer Madness was a movie that was for the police.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was weed-based or not, or had weed in it, but I know there is a Klan, propaganda thing with, a woman screaming, old school horror movie style, screaming or running. I can hear it in my head, even, that style.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've watched enough MST3K. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that
level.
corny one.
Yeah.
Being chased by an African-American man and having to be saved, and this woman had to be saved by a Klansman.
See, what I'm thinking in my head was a poster, and it was of an African-American man smoking a blunt. And it's that old newspaper type font on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, Reefer Madness, weed will make the censored very, very bad word turn into a madman.
Interesting.
And I was like, this is crazy.
Well, you know why? I don't. Did you see that episode because this is how I first learned it, and then I looked up after it. The episode of it's on True TV. It was made by College Humor. Adams Ruins Everything.
Adam Ruins Everything. Yes.
Because like literally Nixon did it to break up the hippie communities and the African American communities. Or even, I think it might have even been more than just them, just people of color.
Yeah, just minorities. America has been marginalizing forever now.
And that Nixon had a huge problem with.
Yeah.
And the whole reefer madness started because of this, can't remember his name, but this this prohibition, anti-alcohol guy who basically lost and wanted to keep his fun. He was like, hey, I need to find something to go against. What's people mad about? Oh, people from Mexico. What do they smoke? Marijuana!
They might have strained a muscle making that reach.
Yeah.
In modern colloquialisms, does your arm hurt because that was a stretch?
It really was. But greed. So my dad breaks it down as every issue comes down to greed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All the world's problems that was created by man is greed.
Over money, which is created by man.
Mm.
Man has made man's own problems. Humankind has made humankind's own problems.
So there's one thing I wanted to talk about. You okay? You hit the table.
Yeah, I hit the table. Speech.exe has stopped working. No, situational awareness is not my strong suit.
Did you just say speechdaddy.exe?
No! I said speech.exe has stopped responding.
I just heard speech
You
daddy.
are hearing what you want to hear over there. Floyd would be happy. Anyway.
Okay. We were talking about this the other day, and I kind of wanted to go deeper into it.
Okay.
Yeah, we got time. I wanted to talk about Pennsylvania and what do you think would happen when we go rec? I'm going to say when we go rec.
Speak it into existence.
So, I talked to you about this part specifically, and you agreed with me, but if Pennsylvania goes rec, all the medical marijuana dispensaries will stay medical only.
Yes.
And the state is going to open rec-only dispensaries run and operated by the state, like they have like the liquor stores here in PA.
Because it would make too much sense. You drew that connection before I got to talk about it. Of they've done it already with alcohol. It makes you think they're not going to do it with weed. If they can make money off of it, they're going to do it. All I ask is PennDOT, please fix the damn potholes with that money. Project Pothole for the potholes. Potheads for the potholes.
And here's the funny thing is, like, it became a meme how bad the roads are here because Pittsburgh Road ate a bus.
Yeah, Pittsburgh birthed a bus. It was, oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Now, I don't know if that was just pure, like, I didn't go further
what the
than
problem
the
is
meme.
what the problem is with Pennsylvania is this is a generalized Pennsylvania problem. It's all well and good. We're not in Night Vale. Everybody believes in mountains. Also, shout out to Night Vale. Hi, guys. If you ever get around to listening to this, I love your podcast. But no, Pennsylvania has mountains. Mountains drain water off into places that we don't want them to be. That
Valleys.
gets underneath valleys. That's where we're in Happy Valley. It's not very happy.
We're also in PA. It snows a lot, so any little crack.
Any crack freezes over, it breaks, but all that water has to go somewhere. Guess where it goes? Under the road. It erodes it. Long story short, that road was eroded downtown Pittsburgh for God knows how long.
So that's what it was? It was just erosion?
It's just erosion. And the bus drove over it. It was probably cracked because I don't know if anybody listening has drove downtown Pittsburgh. It's a fucking nightmare. With all the cracks and the bumps and the shit. And you rode downtown Pittsburgh. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Out front of our hotel we stayed at.
But
that happens and you bounce and you bump and a big bus full of people and it goes in the road.
So to rein it back into the actual topic.
I'm so sorry. I don't even remember what we were talking about. potholes. We were talking about taxing weed whenever it does become recreational.
So you think we should tax it?
I'm not saying to fix the roads. If they're going to tax it, I don't think they should tax it as heavily as some other stuff that they do. But if they do, this is what I would like to see happen.
So this is where I actually, with a Cool Nerd Weed Show, learned a lot about that in California, they tax all rec-based weed. You get a reduced one if you have medical, and you get it for your medical marijuana purposes as long as you have a card. But you can spend up to like 30% on just the state's tax. And then not to mention what the city and the local, like, smaller section, like a borough, add on top of that, you know? Or the county and then the city and, you know, all that extra crap. So you can spend a lot just on taxes. And those taxes only make a very small percent of the tax bracket of, you know, all the taxes. But to think, are they just using these as a general chunk to give more to what they already give? Or would they actually, like, dedicate them solely for school? And because that's such a small percentage, would that hurt education? And that's what I don't want to see, you know?
Yeah.
Because you basically are taxing people. Well, it's good that you're going to use that stuff for those things, and as they should.
Yeah.
But you're making it harder for people who need the medicine to get it when they're poor.
Because you're going to drive that price up, and you're not going to be able to pay all those taxes.
And it's punishing basically the lower income people who are, some of them need them the most for XYZ reason.
You're marginalizing another one of those groups of people that have been demonized for weed again. And you're 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards.
So, if we do go that route, I don't want the taxes to be ridiculous like it... California might have fixed it by now, but at the time of where I am in the podcast, that's where it was. And I haven't gotten an update at this time to if it's gotten fixed or not.
But then you're also, like, if it gets to that point, like you said, those taxes are so high, you're going to be at that point of nobody's going to buy weed from your recreational dispensary if they can apply for their card, get it easy, and get it cheaper, or just still buy it on the street. Because as much as those dispensaries, and our dispensary is no different, they're no different than any other dispensary, as much as they try to pick out those seeds and breed out seeds that they're producing flower for dispensaries, people still get seeds. I'm not going to say who, but one of my friends found seeds in their weed from the dispensary, and they started growing their own plants. Obviously, I'm not going to say their name because it's illegal in this state. I think. We're not quite still sure about Pennsylvania's growing laws. Some stuff might have been changing.
Yeah, I did see. I don't remember. It's been about a month now at this point. I don't remember if that's been changed or if it was in the process of introducing it into the new legislation that you can grow your own. I don't remember, and I do need to do a, sorry, just my computer timed out, so I was making sure it's awake, if it's woke. But I have to do some more research on that to see what has gone on with Pennsylvania, and I can do that and update y'all in the next episode.
But at the time of them starting to grow these plants, it was supposed to be out of the question.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Pennsylvania dispensaries, I don't know if any other dispensaries are like this. Anybody listening in from outside of the state, let me know. They try not to let the seeds go through with the flower they're clipping to sell, because it's easier to not have to pick through it if you breed it so that these specific plants that we sell don't make seeds, because you can do that.
Or they pick the seeds out.
Or, yeah, they probably just pull a lot of the males after all the budding is completed, because the males are the ones that make the seeds, so they just trim the males and throw that away.
Which, I'm curious how they have to do the waste product. Do they have to burn it like in other states?
I think they'd have to, because those seeds would pollinate themselves. They'd go and grow like they're supposed to. But back to what I was originally trying to say, is that you're going to have people that are going to get 1 or 2 batches from the dispensary, they're going to have a couple seeds in them, they're going to grow them, and they're going to start selling, because then they can make income. They can get their medicine for free. It's a strand they already know works for them, because it's that strand seed that they got from the dispensary. And they start making their own money. And it's not going to be illegal, so it's not going to be a problem for the state. But it will become a problem once people stop buying from those legal recreational outlets, because it's too expensive.
That's if they go down
That's if they go down that route.
No, because, like, on the flip side, because I know Walmart, where I grew up in Virginia, Walmart had beer and liquor, if I remember liquor. I definitely remember beer and wine. I don't, they might not have had liquor in Walmart, I don't remember at this point. It's been so long. But you can get literally out like beer, Walmart, gas station, a CVS.
Meanwhile, here in Pennsylvania,
you have to go to, well, they just got, wine and beer in grocery stores here.
Yeah.
In like, what, the last 2-3 years?
Sheetz has been making a progress in the last couple of years. Yins out there on the West Coast probably don't know what the hell we're talking about. It's a gas station chain that competes with another gas station chain over here on the East Coast. But they couldn't get their beer license, their wine license, their anything, because they were a gas station in Pennsylvania. It's like, no. We want them to go to our state store and buy stuff here.
Mm-hmm. Or they had to go to this because, like, that's the only, well, you can still get, used to be only get wine and liquor that way. But they have beer distributors that are privately owned. And that was the only other way. You had to go to their beer distributor or go to a bar.
Or go to a wine and spirit store before 9 o'clock because they're going to close.
Yeah, and it's really weird here in PA because the thing I worry about when it goes rec is the forgetfulness that there is a separation of church and state in this state. Because a lot of these laws are based on Quaker ideology. Because
we were the Quaker state.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having the ideology, and being Quaker or Christian or anything, or any religion.
We're not saying that at all. It's just the separation of church and state. Foresee that becoming an issue with it when it becomes rec, because that's a lot of, even though we know it's not supposed to happen and things happen that shouldn't, there should be a separation between church and state when you're making those laws, because it needs to be what's good for the people, not what you think's good in your heart.
And exactly, and I think that's where a lot of, when I first came here, and I got very confused by that, a friend told me, and this is back in high school, so I mean, it could definitely be wrong, I never corrected the research, so like, well, that makes sense. Was they were based on things made by people in government that were Quaker. Like, really old laws, like, you cannot have liquor so close to a school or a church.
And you can't have a strip club or an adult store so close to a church or a school, which also cannot be within a certain proximity. The church cannot be within a certain proximity of the casino, which I just learned this was a thing, like, what was it, 4 months ago? Because they were trying to put a casino in our mall, but apparently it was too close to a church, and because the church wanted to come into the mall as well. You both can't be in the same building. I don't think you can be within like 5 to 15 miles of each other. Something stupid. That never comes up except for once in a blue moon in a situation like that. Pennsylvania has it covered for them stupid things. Like, you can't take your refrigerator outside and sleep on top of it in your front yard.
Yeah, there was a guy on TikTok making a whole series of dumb laws in America.
Yeah. I can't remember his handle right now, but he's super cool.
We could put it in the show notes, though.
We could, yeah. Shout him out. He doesn't even know we exist, but we follow him.
Oh, you follow him. I don't really do TikTok anymore.
I like funny Canadians. Letterkenny. Hey.
But the thing... but, like, that's an issue I feel like where it's, like, going to be, like, it has to be either just for the state or it's going to have to be XYZ location from a church or a school. And the dispensary we have is really lucky if you do not count colleges. Because...
We're, 2 miles away from a college?
You're 2 miles... No, well, you're 3 miles away from the college, but you're well over that 10-mile... You're well over 10 miles till, like, you get to a K-12 school.
Yeah.
which I think is the simulation, and it's further away than the liquor store and any beer distributor is to that school or a church.
Yeah, there aren't any beer distributors on that side of the strip. They're all if you go up the other way. Like if you go up, like
yeah, there is one.
There is one.
Yeah, it's that Bald Eagle
distributor
right by the hotel.
Yeah. That strip's just like all beer distributors. The liquor stores there are local, like
on our side.
On our side, yeah, they're closed state stores there. If you jump that out and take it to the other side of town, there's another state store out there. There's like 2 more beer distributors on the way you go up, like East College. I'm talking, But it's weird because that whole road is just, I guess, within that perfect spot of, hey, we're 10 miles from literally frickin' anything. We can put a beer distributor here. We can put a liquor store here. There's no law stating how close they can't be together, which is weird. Because I feel like that would be also something they probably have kicked around a bit, like, can we have these things close together? Are we allowed to have, like, so many of these per how many ever mile radius?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really looked, because I'm not a PA native. I'm a transplant.
Meanwhile, I was born about 5 minutes away from where we live right now and grew up 30 minutes away for 16 years.
Yeah.
So, I've been in Pennsylvania all my life. Living here, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just, that's the thing I'm worried about is the laws, the taxes, and how it's going to be available, and what regulations are they going to put on it, like I'm worried about like edibles, like they're just going to keep edibles off the market at all except for pills.
Or if they're going to go the way it is right now for medical use of you can't combust it.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to have paraphernalia because paraphernalia is still illegal in the state of Pennsylvania, as we talked about earlier. And it's going to be weird workaround stuff like that. I don't know.
And another thing is also the protection laws for it. Because as medical patients, we have our cards, we have our medical cards, and we have protections with employment because of that, because it's a medicine for us.
So we technically can't fill a drug test for cannabis or THC, what they look for.
But we don't have protections on housing yet.
Which is scary sometimes. I still freak out a little bit sometimes, but our maintenance guys are cool, our apartment complex is cool, we don't smoke in the place, we go on our porch. It's not going to smell when we move out. Also, we kind of know when the landlady does her walks, so we're also never home when she's here. We're home after the office closes.
Yeah.
So we really don't worry about that.
Like, it's just those things I feel like we should fix first. I feel like
definitely.
We should fix our system for the cannabis stuff before we go rec. Because some states, like California, didn't really have all their ducks in a row before they went that route.
Pennsylvania has been slowing things down with the passing of it becoming rec because it's been is it the House?
I'm really bad with the U.S.
with
government.
Local government. I don't know how local government works. I'm just gonna say the House. It makes sense to me in my head. When it was still in the House, the Pennsylvania board was voting on it. It's been there for 10 years at this point.
Really?
When I was in high school, when I was just starting junior high, there was talk about them making it legal recreationally.
Wait, when were you in junior high?
I was in junior high, let's see, 6th grade was 2010. The 7th grade was 2010, 2011. 8th grade was 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was in the military.
That's probably why you didn't know about that. But that's when they started first, like, the murmurs were coming up. They were talking about medical. And then everything went quiet for a really long time. And, it's still been like, just stuck there. They'll revise it every once in a while. They'll update some language. They'll move some numbers around to change the dates for stuff for when it expires. But it's still sitting there. Pennsylvania's taking a good, hard, long look at it first.
Well, that's good. Hopefully they have, like, stuff set up to where, like, if they do go rec...
No, when they do go rec.
When they do rec, yeah. When it goes rec, what they're doing. Or, hopefully, you know what, we could just, I know Biden's not going to write it because he's against it and still thinks it's a gateway drug, but when it goes federal.
Yeah.
Because fuck it, I feel like at this point, PA is going to wait till after it goes federal.
Well, it's like you're going to go connecting the LGBT issues into it. Pennsylvania, whenever marriage became legal, that was 4 months before it was nationally legal.
Oh yeah, it was.
Before it was federally legal, Pennsylvania was about 3 months behind. They were so squeaking close. Is it going to come down to that with weed again?
It might.
Is it going to be a replay of, I can't remember what year that was. I was so happy, though. I almost cried. When I heard that it became legal, that gay marriage became legal across the United States. All 50 states.
Obama administration, second term. 2000, because Trump became president.
It was 2015. I was still in high school. It was right before I graduated. It was 2015.
2015, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm too stoned to remember time right now.
I'm starting to calm down even now. But yeah, I feel like we might have another repeat of that.
Okay. I mean, it'd be sad, but I mean, hopefully, we can get all of our ducks in a row for it,
Honestly, it'd be nice, for it to be legalized earlier, but at this point, it's not a matter of if, but when.
Yeah. I do have to double check on this, but, if I remember correctly, my home state, Virginia, became rec. And I do have to double check that, and I will update it in the next episode if I remember.
An interesting thing to think about, too, is back when alcohol laws used to be different state to state, it used to be, okay, you were 16 here in this state and you can drink. You're 18 in this state and you can drink. You're 16 here and you can drink beer and wine. You can't have hard liquor until you're 21.
And then that all became federal.
But it became a problem first.
Oh, really?
It became a problem before it became federal. Because people were driving across state borders. I have stories from my immediate family, I'm not going to say specifics on who they knew about would drive from state to state, pick up alcohol in one state, bring it home, drink, and do it again every single Friday night. They just have somebody drive to Maryland or somebody drive up to New York or to Jersey.
I feel like people still do that, but go to Canada. Because I have a buddy I work with. I'm not going to say his name, but him and his friends either did go to Canada or were thinking about going to Canada. I think they did go to Canada and got cannabis because it's legal in Canada and in Mexico. We're the middle of this North American sandwich
that doesn't have it
legal. It's just medical only, and Canada's doing a whole lot of cool research on it because they're allowed to do research. That's another issue is we don't have a whole lot of research on anything because it's still a Schedule I drug.
But, like I was saying earlier, to kind of wrap that up, is it going to become a problem before it becomes federal? Like it did with alcohol? Because it hasn't yet, and we've been seeing pop-ups here and there of states. I'm going to call them turning green, because you know how they turn red and blue in the election. Turning green. We've seen a lot of states turn green, and there's still spots that aren't. So is it going to become a problem before it becomes federal?
I hope not. But then again, the cannabis community seems like it's regulating itself pretty good when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also, it's the fact that you can't overdose on weed. You literally...
You physically can't.
Well, yeah.
You can, but you physically are not capable of consuming the amount needed to do so.
Yeah, it's like getting radiation poisoning from bananas. Bananas carry a small amount of radiation in them naturally, just like a lot of things in this world do, including ourselves. And you will literally kill yourself just by the sheer number of bananas you ate before you get radiation poisoning, because I think you have to consume, like a couple million bananas?
You have to smoke something crazy like 3 grams of weed every minute to be able to overdose.
Yeah, like, there are ways to do it with certain things that are, like, it's literally impossible.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can overdose on water.
Absolutely.
You overconsume.
That's easier to do than overdosing on weed.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking.
medically speaking.
Medically speaking, statistically speaking, just speaking, it is.
Yeah, I feel like this entire podcast is just me, because I'm so new to weed. It feels like that Reddit video we were watching of
Ask Reddit.
What is something so idiotic that someone said with such confidence or something like that. And I feel like that's just me talking on weed. Because I am so new. I'm a baby stoner.
I can teach you over the podcast, and hopefully we can teach our listeners some stuff as well, you know?
Yeah, that's another reason. That's another thing I wanted us to be, you know? But, it is getting that time.
Alrighty, well, this was fun. Hopefully we can do it again next week.
Yeah, we are going to record every week. My thought is if either of us have a bad mental health day that day, that we can either do like a solo episode or something.
Or we can shift it later in the week if Sundays aren't working for us, because I know for both of us Saturdays right now are crazy because of Penn State football. So if there ever comes a Sunday where it's just as crazy as that Saturday and we need to recoup, we might have to shift to a different day of the week sometimes.
I was actually going to leave the day of the week as a unknown.
Unknown day of the week, woohoo!
Like,
is it Sunday? Is it Thursday? You won't know until you listen to the podcast.
Well, because, like, we might not edit it or upload it right away.
Yeah, we gotta edit it and, you know, cut in some stuff and cut out some stuff, maybe.
Yeah, like, I am not a great editor, but I'm learning. And
it's a learning process. You guys get to grow with us. You get to see, you folks get to see our first episode to, you know, however long this is going to go on, and see how much better quality it became.
Yeah, we're hoping to have like an actual room for this, because right now we're just kind of in our open dining room in our apartment, but we're moving.
Our cat has been very quiet during the whole thing.
Honestly, he has been. I think that's because I fed him.
Yeah, I sprayed him once because he got on the counter.
But yeah, this has been great. Hope to have you guys listen to us some more, and hope to interact with you. I should set up some plugs for us, so where people can find us. Currently, have you made your Instagram for this podcast?
We recorded the episode that didn't work out last week. I totally have been busy with work because I believe I said earlier I have like 44 hours.
Yeah, I haven't made our Instagram yet either, but I'm off tomorrow, so I'm going to make our podcast Instagram.
Okay.
But my stoner personal Instagram is Hi Flying Rayven. Hi, like H-I-G-H, like I am right now. Not like hello. Flying, and then Rayven, Rayven, because when I picked my name, I had to spell it different.
I tried that. The Y looked weird in my name. I left it out. That was your thing.
Yeah, well. But our podcast is currently on Spotify, Google Podcast. That's all I know we're actually on right now, because we were going through Anchor. We got a couple of updates, but basically,
wherever you listen to your podcast,
yeah, we'll eventually get there. So
we will get there.
So if you need to transfer to something else or anything, you can still find our episodes. I'm actually thinking about taking these and putting them on YouTube as well.
Yeah, we could do like maybe a transcript thing or like some cool graphic and do uploads for the audio.
But yeah, this has been our first episode, and hope to see you guys for more.
Nice talking to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.